mission of unlocking the future with the one and only dear friend, absolute rockstar, Venky Mysore, who has now learned Bengali. That has been his lockdown training. So we will get Bengali from Venky Mysore as part of this show as well. But most importantly, KKR boss, Red Chillies boss, and someone who has given this city a lot in terms of real support over the last few months and continues to give us joy with his team, the Kolkata Knight Riders. Venky, first thing, great to see you vibrant, safe, healthy and smiling, because this optimism of yours rubs off on all of us.
Well, thank you, Boria. You're very kind, and thanks for inviting me. It's always great to chat with you. And what's not to be positive? I mean, to be honest, we all have to look forward to so many silver linings there are. Yes, the pandemic is a challenge for the whole world. And I think as the old adage goes, let's try and control the controllables and not worry about things that are way beyond our control. And within that space, we'll talk a little bit about it, but I think there are many things for us to be thankful for and to look forward to as well. And so glad to hear that Kolkata has bounced back. Very resilient city, very resilient people of the state. And it's great to see that the city, as you say, is back in action. And, we very much appreciate your recognizing whatever contribution we've been able to make towards COVID and this, but...
I'll stop you there, Venky. In fact, I want to put this on record. That Venky Mysore as an individual, Shah Rukh Khan as an individual, Kolkata Knight Riders, their foundation, they have been absolutely fantastic. And here I speak as a public intellectual, as a citizen of Kolkata, as a journalist, someone from the media. I reached out to them and all I got was positive vibes. Each time, in every way, whether it is COVID, whether it is the post-cyclone scenario, you all have been exemplary, absolutely exemplary. Talk about, the spirit that you've shown for this city, the contribution you've made. What was the principle? How you all decided to come forward in the manner that you did? Give me a sense of all of that.
Well, first and foremost, as SRK always says, Kolkata is not a city, it's an emotion. And we've been part of it now for, in our capacity as KKR, we've been part of the partnership, and the spirit of our collaboration has lasted the entire duration of IPL, which is 12 seasons coming up on the 13th. So, you grow very fond of people of Kolkata and the goodwill there that we sense, the love that we sense. So it was not a difficult decision at all. I mean, end of the day, as we say, to be in a position where you can give is a blessing. And what that is a matter of, circumstances and what is possible and what's not, because there is so much that needs to be done. So for us, it's not like anybody asked us for anything. It's amazing that we just didn't get any phone calls to say, do this, do that, help us with this, help us with that. It's just a spontaneous thought that came to our mind straight away, even when COVID happened and when the cyclone on top of it, and some of the great work that you're doing, Boria, in a very special initiative there. So for us to be able to contribute and to partner in ways that we could, whether it is PPE kits or contributing to the Chief Minister's Relief Fund or distribution of food for the needy, it's just a pleasure to be able to do that. Difficult times, but we feel very blessed that we have that kind of love and affection that we get from the city and from the state and from all the powers to be. And we have many friends there, a lot of goodwill. You can sense it when you think of Kolkata and when you come there.
Venky, one thing is monetary support. That is something that, there are some people in this country who are in a position to give. And I understand that as someone who is in the public domain, and I appreciate that. Nothing to take away from the fact that that's fantastic support. Having said that, where you guys have been different, Shah Rukh per se, specifically, is when we were struggling with PPEs. Now Bengal has enough. In fact, I can tell you, having spoken to my doctor friends, PPE kits produced by the city can now be exported also. We have abundance. Every village now has PPE kits, every dispensary has PPE kits are sorted. That point in time to come forward and give PPE kits told me that it was not just a monetary contribution. It was a contribution coming from the heart. It was a contribution well thought out. That is what makes y'all different to me. So give me a sense of that. That one is social responsibility, and this is pure social responsibility being translated into hardcore action, which is benefiting humanity. That is what is stand out. And I got to put this on record. We are critical of the situation, etc. But this level of human spirit gives me hope about this country.
No, certainly, I think, we've all learned along the way. I mean, to be honest, in the very early stages of COVID setting in and the challenges and we thinking about what ways can we contribute, I was having a discussion with SRK and he asked me, so explain to me what PPE is, because everyone understands the kind of protective equipment that is needed, but what does PPE stand for? It started from there, And then when you say this, I mean, he's intuitively so sharp about various things that I think the first comment that he said, and I also, we sort of realized was that this pandemic is such that, we're asking everybody to stay home. The government is saying, rightly so, lockdown. This is one of the ways in which you can flatten the curve, all of those things. But there are other people who have to actually get out of their homes every day, regardless of what the level of risk is outside, to be able to go out there and, be of service. So if we can't, so everyone, I mean, now it's been said quite often that this is really not a pandemic, but it's a war that you're fighting. You're fighting a war against an invisible enemy. And it needed for a certain group of people who are the frontline warriors, as we have begun to call them, that who needed to wake up every day, forget about the risk outside and still go out there so that people who need that attention could get it. And so how do you take care of that? And so this conversation went into that space. And then we also realized that PPE kits are not only was in short supply, but also there were a lot of things that were happening in terms of, unfortunately, quality not being so good and the type of kit that is needed. So, me, I had to dive into educating myself about that and talking to various people and understanding what type of certification is needed for the type of material, the type of mask that's there. So there are hundreds of these varieties that were there, and we wanted to give the absolute best to the frontline workers, and luckily we found a very good vendor here, and we had conversations with certifying authorities and where the material comes from, CITRA certification, AFCAIN certification. So educated ourselves on all of these things, because the last thing you wanted was, with all the best of intentions, money is one thing, but the best of intentions, you try to do something and then suddenly find out that somewhere along the line we have dropped the ball in terms of process. So all of this was done, and we were very glad. In fact, even post whatever we wanted to give, Shahrukh in particular was so taken in by this whole initiative that we started a crowdfunding strategy also. And because a lot of people reached out to us and said, wow, this is a great thing that you're doing. How can we support it? Both within the country, outside and whatnot. So he said, okay, let's start something. So he's actually put out a video, and we have teamed up with an NGO called Milap, and they have a crowdfunding strategy with this and a link. So as we socialize this whole idea, there are people who are coming forth and putting whatever money they can give. And it's actually collected into a very decent number, to where now additional requests that we are getting from different hospitals, we are able to at least reach into that kitty as well, and with the vendor that we have a relationship with, to be able to go out and do stuff. So both Mir Foundation, SRK directly, KKR. So we've learned a lot doing this, and it's at some level it is very satisfying to know that we're making some kind of a difference there. With
this is real difference. Anyone listening to this broadcast, this is real difference. I said this. I mean, the difference between just donating money and to deep dive like Venky Mysore did, to learn. I mean, I am one who has read every possible literature that has come out on this scientific literature, to really go deep, understand what is the certification, what does one entail to sort of make a difference to people. Fantastic. Venky, moving on to our common passion now. Let me be very blunt and you give me a news point. Are you expecting the IPL? Okay, I've spoken to some of your colleagues, as in multiple team owners, section of the BCCI, the top management of the board, some international cricketers of repute, and the overwhelming consensus I get is there is a definite possibility in September, early October, broadcasters as well, that if the World Cup is pushed back, which is likely, there is a definite possibility of the IPL happening in India in 2020. What is your sense?
You know, I just have to echo the same sentiments, and you always know more than I do, so I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know. But what I can add, Boria, is that all the stakeholders of this wonderful concept called IPL, be it BCCI, IPL, the franchises, the players, state associations, you name it, fans, of course, how can I forget fans? Everybody wanted to happen. So essentially, the spirit of wanting to do it is very strongly there. And now the question is, how does one go about it? There are several moving parts to this, as you know. I think the first and foremost one is about finding a window to be able to stage the tournament during that particular period of time. And then once you have found the window, then how do you, the logistics of staging it, and the number of grounds, and all the other things that have to be done. So first and foremost, I think there is, what is at the core of all of these things is the safety and well-being of all people. Players are going to be the main stars, support staff in there. So how do you take care of protect their well-being and take care of all of those things? So I'm very optimistic because sports has started in different forms around the world, as we all know. Cricket hasn't yet, and this could be the biggest event that could potentially, God willing, get staged. As I say, that virus, hopefully the virus will cooperate, and if that's the case, then I think we have a very strong opportunity of staging it. And I think a lot of us and all of us are applying our minds in a very creative way to think of how we can make this as big as it possibly can become. And so who knows, this might end up being an interesting model going forward.
Venky, my own research tells me that if IPL does happen, I've done some research which I shared with you on fandom and broadcast. I've been working on it for the last 3 months, coming out in peer-reviewed journals also. The tournament, if it does happen, will perhaps be one of the biggest cricket tournaments of all time. Because this is not about a cricket tournament. It is about a country of 1.3 billion coming together to celebrate, saying, oh, you know what, there is life beyond the lens. That's the message that will come out of that one particular cricket tournament. What gives me hope is when the Bundesliga started, there was serious alarm that, oh, you know what, is Germany rushing it? Frankly, 1 month later, we've not heard any bad news coming out of the Bundesliga. Rather, what we did here was EPL will start, Serie A will start, Spanish League will start, England versus West Indies will start, Sri Lankan team has started training, Australian team has started training. So all of a sudden, we see the international sport restart. Now, from my understanding, and here I want to pick your brains a little bit, BCCI is operating at 3 levels. One is a closed door model, which now is an established model around the world. One is a model where I think what they're trying to do is get hospitality done. Y'all, franchise owners, corporates, maybe team owners, board officials, and you have hospitality with obviously adequate social distancing in the stadium. That is model number 2. And model number 3, according to me, it's still slightly tricky, is I am told that a mapping is going on around the stadiums. can we do a match with social distancing, say Eden Gardens, 70,000 normal capacity, 7 feet distance or 8 feet distance, okay, we can accommodate 12 to 15,000 people. These three models that people are working on, what I understand from my conversations. Your thoughts, first thoughts as to what you think possible.
See, we're all learning along the way, aren't we? I mean, we read the same newspapers, we hear the same news, we talk to similar types of people. I think, what we have learned now is there is a way in which life can go on, not the way we knew it, but life can go on with adequate, precautions being taken and protocols being developed and people showing the discipline to follow all of that. And so I think from that perspective, I'm at least operating on the basis, and everyone I talk to are operating on the basis that it will be a stadium lockdown mode. And therefore, you plan on that basis to say that, okay, there will be no crowds in the stadium. It'll be absolutely limited to a situation where it'll be obviously players and support staff, very limited numbers of people from the franchise. And when all the fans are going to watch it on television and streaming, there's no reason why anyone who's going to, only on a need basis, the people will have to be there, is my sense. At least that's how I'm operating. And I don't think we should take this lightly, because there is a tendency, and we see this when things start opening up. And I tell people that, listen, for the best part of my earlier career, I spent in financial services and involved significantly in risk management. And what you realize through that learning is that, yes, we all look forward to guidelines from the government on opening up, and this is going to open and that's going to open and whatnot. But I said, listen, to my mind, the risk outside has not changed. The risk is still the same. And we've just managed that risk through lockdown, we're flattening the curve, through limited opening, and understanding what is the protocol in terms of, like you said, social distancing, mask, and washing your hands, and doing all of those things are mitigating strategies through which you can manage. I don't think we should be over ambitious with something like this, because something like this can come back to bite you. And as we said, at the core of it is the health and safety of everybody. So where it starts becoming challenging is that if we start thinking, well, maybe we can accommodate 10,000 people in Eden or 12,000 people in Eden and some other place 5,000, etc. It's not easy to manage, at that level. To when people are coming and their entry into stadiums, how are they going to enter the washrooms that are going to be there? There's a whole host of things that we'll have to think about, not just where they're sitting. There's a whole host of entry, exit, and where they're going to sit. And if it suddenly starts raining, they're all going to congregate somewhere. See, these are all things there's a lot to think about. And so therefore I feel we shouldn't be over ambitious about it. I think there are many ideas that we are all brainstorming right now and curating to say, how do you still say, because there are two aspects to staging the tournament. One is the fans themselves in terms of how they consume this content. So if you see, somebody put out a stat the other day saying that there's going to be 60 odd games of IPL. And on an average, there's, let's say, 30,000 people per game who are there at the stadium. But when you compare that number to the number of viewers, it's a small percentage of people who are going to be there. Now, this might be the year where the fans who love going there and watching it at the stadium, be included, we'll have to say, hey, this is something that we'll have to forego for the bigger cause. And therefore, I think one is how the fans are going to consume this. And I think there are some ideas being discussed which are very exciting on how to give them that kind of extra fulfillment. The second aspect of it is how the players feel when they're playing in empty stadiums. And I was jokingly telling some of the good players and who I know who have played, who play all three formats, Test cricket, this and that, they're like, without a crowd. I said, listen, you guys are used to playing without crowds. I go to a Ranji Trophy final and there's nobody there. You go to Test match and there's nobody there. So IPL is, I was jokingly saying IPL has spoiled all of you. That all of us, I should say, that Eden Gardens
Venky,
has
if I
70,000.
stop you there, if I actually stop you there, in fact, that is a question I want to ask, that you are in touch with players. My interaction with players, and I'll put in some of the names here also, say someone like a David Warner, who I am in touch with on a regular basis. Some international players of repute, they are very keen to play the IPL. What are your players saying? David tells me that his Australian colleagues, including your own players, Patrick Cummins and others, they are keen about the IPL. What is your sense? Well, if and when the tournament happens, do we see international players embracing it, or do you see some pullouts? People are still apprehensive. What is your sense? Will we get international players? Will the tournament, at least from the talent perspective, player perspective, be the same?
No, 100%. See, everyone I've spoken with, I mean, predominantly our players and some who are not our players as well. Because as you know, we've got the TKR set up and in the Caribbean, so some of the players who play for us there, the Pollards and the Bravos and etc., they also love the idea of playing. Why? Because I think what I've learned by being around professionals and professional players. Yes, contracts, money, and all those things are important. But at the end of the day, they are professional athletes, and what they enjoy doing the most and they're passionate about is going out and playing the game. So regardless of what the contract value says, I think everyone that I speak with are very excited about playing, because that's what they love doing, that's what they're good at doing, but also the whole idea of being part of IPL. I think IPL has been the biggest concept, the biggest idea that has come out of India, and I would dare say the world in the sporting space in the last 10 years. There's nothing bigger than this that has happened. So who wouldn't want to be part of it? So the overwhelming answer that I get is everybody is excited about it. Needless to say, I mean, they would be concerned. I mean, this Corona thing and the COVID thing is not to be taken lightly. If all of us know someone, and in my case, I know people who are within the extended family who have unfortunately succumbed to it as well. So all of us are apprehensive to a degree, and therefore it is incumbent upon us as stakeholders in this to ensure that we give everyone the confidence that we have sort of ticked all the boxes and thought about everything in staging this tournament, and no stone is unturned in terms of addressing the safety and the well-being of all concerned. So I think they have that confidence that it'll be a very professionally run tournament like it always is. But in an unusual year like this, they have the confidence that we would have thought, the stakeholders would have thought of every aspect of it and give them the comfort, safety, testing, quarantine, you name it. All of those types of things will be done, and sanitization and logistics, movements, all of that. So everyone's excited about coming, and I think they're looking forward to it. And it's the biggest stage in sports and in cricket in particular. So from everything I know and everyone I talk to, there's a lot of excitement and they're looking forward.
Okay, last two questions, Venky, before I let you go. One, what about the fans? I mean, yes, I also agree with you. First, there is no debate that this disease is a dreaded disease, as Venky Mysore says. I am saying each one of us should be aware of that. Lives are being lost. So each one needs to protect oneself, because this is now a community level, individual level fight rather than a state level fight. And we are responsible towards ourselves, our families, our elders, our parents to protect us. So that's the fundamental point. Having said that, what about your fans, Venky? I mean, ultimately KKR is because of its fans. I mean, we have made KKR the brand what it is. How will you engage them? Is there a fan strategy in place? What is the engagement plan? Have you thought about it? Your team thinking about it, assuming that it will be a prestigious?
No, absolutely. I think we're spending a lot of time. As I said, see, there are two levels of interface. One is, how is the fan going to consume this content? And two is the players themselves, in terms of their interface with the fans when they are live in a stadium. And Andre Russell has made this statement, and he was talking to me after one of the games that he won for us in Calcutta in spectacular fashion. He said, he had goosebumps when he hit a six, and the whole crowd just went into raptures. And he said, I know I'm a big guy, but I could almost sense that I was about to have tears come down and he says to me, so that's the emotion that the players feel, and the interaction between the players and the fans, and then how they communicate with each other in a field of play. So we're trying to address it from both and say, how can you ensure? Are there ideas? And that's the beauty about, in a way, the beauty about the pandemic. And I tell people that in all my working years, this is the first time I feel like I have a lot of time to think. And so, in a very uncluttered way, you're able to focus and think. And at the same time, you encourage yourself and you tell yourself, don't stick to the old paradigm, think out of the box. What are the ideas that you can come up with? So one of the ideas that we had floated was potentially to have an LED wall in the stadium, LED walls. And this was an idea that we had floated earlier, and saying that the fans, can they have a virtual presence on these LED walls and literally enjoy the game? I mean, they would much rather be physically there, but the next best thing is to be virtually there and still be following the game and communicating and interacting with the players. If I'm waving on a Zoom call to you, like here right now, why couldn't a fan be doing the same thing? And we thought this was a very novel idea, but it's interesting. Maybe they stole our idea, whatever it is. You're seeing football and other things, follow certain things like this. Amsterdam, the other day we were watching, somebody sent me a link, and they've teamed up with Zoom to put large screens on the periphery of the football stadium. And there are fans who log in on, like they're buying a ticket or whatever, whichever way they do it, they're literally there. So if Andre Russell is coming to field at mid-on and there is a LED wall there, he'll still be able to wave to the fans. And the fans are able to react and communicate the same way that they would if they were in a stadium. So there are some very exciting ideas. I'm talking to various people, broadcasters and others. They all have some fantastic ideas. I'm also trying to contribute to that. I think you're going to see a product, if God willing, if this tournament actually reaches fruition, you're going to see some ideas where technology is going to be applied in a way where, think of, for example, how you watch a game. There are a whole bunch of people who watch. My family watches many times from home because of various compulsions. They're not able to come to Calcutta, and whenever they get mad, they're sending me messages, and I'm sitting there and I'm there at Eden Gardens. That's the passion that everybody has. So, can that passion be somehow portrayed? From homes, from places where, like bars, maybe people where they're going to sit and like what we're doing right now. So I think there's going to be some very, very interesting ideas that are going to come out of this, which might become part of this whole product going forward, even thankfully if we get back into normalcy as we know it.
See, that's what I've argued also, and I've written also, that every household, every sofa, every restaurant, every gathering, everything can become a virtual stadium, because that's the future. So far, we were in a comfort zone. We took the stadium atmosphere, and 25, 30, 40,000 people have taken for granted, and that's it. Now we have the opportunity to innovate. We have the opportunity to do all these things that you're talking about. And as and when sport does come back, this will become integral to sport in a manner. That is how I think will be the way forward. Final question. Hand on heart. Are you seeing the IPL happen?
I do. I am one who is always optimistic about things, but factoring in everything that is going on, what I'm reasonably aware of.
I'm not asking you only to be emotional. In fact, what you were getting to, I'm asking that. I'm actually asking Venky Mysore, the CEO of Kolkata Knight Riders, who is in it. You are a stakeholder. You are inside. Hand on heart, Venky Mysore, the insider. Are you sensing a possibility, and a real possibility?
I think it's a very real possibility. And I think we'll all be very happy. That's what we're all working towards this. And I'm very optimistic that we'll find solutions to some of the challenges that will come our way. No doubt there will be challenges, but it looks like there is a window that potentially is available, which will be a good window for India. And it'll be post-monsoon, and no sort of compromises on what needs to happen to the format or whatnot, because that would have spoiled the whole thing. And at the same time, if foreigners not being able to come in, I think that also would have diluted the product, because at the end of the day, it's the combination. Yes, it's Indian Premier League. 7 out of 11 players are Indian players, fantastic players, brilliant. But these 4 who come are the best of the best in every team. And the combination of that is what makes this very special and a product. So I've always maintained that it should be in the same format with the same group of people, but we'll overcome some of those challenges. Whether international flights will be on or not at that time, we'll see. Whether quarantining is going to be required, we'll see. Whether it has to be done in a contained type of an atmosphere, we'll figure that out so that we look at the health and safety. But I think there are enough good brains that are all thinking about this, and there's enough passion to make it work. So therefore, I think all in all, I would give a very strong thumbs up to the possibility of the tournament happening.
Can't be a better ending. Can't be a better ending. Can't be a more optimistic and positive ending. Your dog is calling you. I could hear a dog bark. So my time is up because that's priority. But always a pleasure to speak to you. One sentence in Bangla for the KKR fans, which is what you have learnt in lockdown. And sooner than later, I will see you in Kolkata.
A big dhanyavad from me and from all of us at KKR, and once again, thank you big time for all the support that we get from Calcutta and from all our fans around the world. But Boria, you've been a well-wisher and you do a great job, and so having you on in our corner is always a big plus for us. So thank you for that.
This is from a Bengali, from a Kolkatan. A very, very sincere thank you to you, to Shahrukh, to everybody at Red Chillies and KKR and your organization. And as I said, sooner than later. If anything, this whole last few months has increased the bonding, strengthened the bonding, the love and affection for KKR. Wish you all the very best. Fingers crossed, IPL will happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Boria. Thank you.